A simple construct for the Ken Coleman Show, and that's that every person on the planet before and that will come, everybody was born to fill a unique role. So if that's true, and I choose to believe that, then that means you are needed. And so if you're needed, that means you must do it. So that's our entire philosophy. So we're trying to help as many people as possible turn that light on, get that awareness of this is who I am, my talent, what I do best, and this is my passion, what I love to do most. I'm going to use my talent to perform my passion. Very simple.
And this is what you call
the sweet spot.
The sweet spot.
Yeah, it's where talent and passion intersect. And when you can get there, it's a special thing. And there's not just one job or one career, because I think there's some cynics that are watching right now going, I don't know. And so I want to address that. I know what they're thinking. And you're right. It's not one job. It's not one career. In that sweet spot, there might be multiple roles, multiple careers, multiple jobs.
Oh, interesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because remember, what's the construct? Well, talent. We're all born with talent, things we naturally do well. If you take a talent and you hone it, you can turn it into a skill. Okay? And so then we look at passion, things that make my heart come alive, subject matters, people problems, whatever it is. And when we discover that, then we put that together and we go, okay, how am I going to use these talents, strengths, and skills to do this work over here, which gives me great joy? And so when we figure that out, there's multiple ways that can be done. So for instance, somebody could have these set of talents and these set of passions, and they could be very happy and fulfilled being a counselor or maybe a teacher, right? Maybe even a therapist.
Similar talents.
All the same.
Passions.
Yeah. So it comes down to what is that right fit? And then let's not forget that when we begin to pursue the dream, there is an advancing that's constantly going on. So, I may start out in broadcasting in a role that's not so fun. And I did, high school football play-by-play on the internet. Now, I love football as much as any guy likes football. But, there's no pressure there. It's not glamorous. Nobody's listening. That's not as exciting, right? But I love the function of that. But that's where I had to start. So I was in my sweet spot in those early humble days. But I am still in my sweet spot as I advance. So my sweet spot moves with me. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
And so it's important that people not get so hung up on the role or the title. Mm-hmm. Let's get to the function. Let's get to the function of, am I in the sweet spot? And when I'm in the sweet spot, here's what's going to happen. I'm always good at what I'm doing. We all love to do things we're good at, okay? And then I'm actually enjoying not just the work, but the results of my work. So I love broadcasting. So if you put me on a sports broadcasting show today, I would love it. For about an hour, I'd be thrilled. Talking sports, I love sports. I'm on a microphone performing. Okay, I'm loving it. But after about an hour of that, I think I'd start to feel a little empty because I wouldn't have a connection to the results. I'm entertaining people. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't want to entertain.
You want to serve, like you said in the beginning.
I want to encourage and equip. Okay? So that's why I do the radio show that I do. So again, microphone is there. I love performing, that pressure, all those things. You do as well. Mm-hmm. You love it.
Oh, I love it.
But you wouldn't want to just do the weather per se.
Right.
You want to do broadcasting that matters deeply to you, and that's this show.
Right.
I got to hear your heart and the vision for this incredible show before we started recording. And so that's the connection there. So you could go multiple ways there. So it's important for people to know.
So what about those who actually aren't sure what their passions are?
Yeah.
How do they find that?
Yeah. A couple easy practical questions, and then we can dive deep on this. But the practical questions are, ask yourselves these three questions. What problem do I most want to solve? What solution do I most want to provide? Who do I want to help? Like, begin to put a face on that last one. Think of the people and their problems that move your heart. If you just get quiet for a moment, you'll begin to see some answers. But then, same question, I asked it three different ways. It's a little psychological trick. All right? So, what problem do I most want to solve? What solution do I most want to provide? Who do I most want to help? Those three basic questions begin to get the brain working, and the brain begins to connect with the heart there. And so it's amazing. I don't know if you've ever bought a car, but this is a fascinating psychological experiment. And anybody who's ever bought a car, if you think back, You went to the car lot. Maybe you had an idea what you wanted to buy. Maybe you didn't. You get on the car lot and you make a decision. You sign the paperwork and you drive off. How many times did you see that car that you're in on the way home or the next couple days? You see it everywhere.
Yeah.
And you're like, you probably said to yourself, I don't remember seeing that car. I haven't seen it at all. Well, what's going on there? Well, psychologists have said that what's going on is now we're focused on something. We just made a very large purchase. We're very happy about our purchase. And so our brain is very focused on that car. So that car has not doubled in population in the next 48 hours when we're driving around town. It's been there the whole time. You weren't focused on it. Therefore, you didn't see it. And so as you begin to work through those 3 practical questions, so what your brain will start to do is connect to the heart. The heart answers those 3 questions. Okay.
So when you're going about your day,
you'll begin to, yes, your heart and brain connect. And so your brain will begin to notice these things. So you'll find yourself at home watching a show and you go, oh, that's one of the answers to the questions. That's the answer to what solution do I most want to provide? I love coding. So I'm always reading, I'm watching YouTube videos on coding or whatever it is, fill in the blank. The subject matters that attract you, that's a clue. So again, those 3 questions allow your brain to come at it 3 different ways, but everybody wants to help somebody. So that idea of asking, who do I most want to help? It's just beginning to kind of spit out some clues, and then you'll begin to see it and you go, oh my gosh. But it could be as simple as, what subject matters were you really, really good at? Why were you good in it? Well, you have some proficiency. The question is, did you like it? Because, there were some subjects in school that I was good at, English, that I have no desire to spend time on.
Right.
I could diagram a sentence like nobody's business. I would hate that. I would hate to teach English. So, beginning to ask those questions are very practical. And then what will happen is you begin to say, what makes my heart come alive? And so now we get to find out, well, what is a real passion? So if you look this up, and I don't want to dive too deep into this because I'm a word nerd, but the word passion, it comes from the Greek, and the root word for it basically means to suffer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so we think passion is exciting, soul lifting, and it is. But here's where it comes from. If you're willing to suffer for it, meaning patience, perseverance, rejection on the way to the dream,
right.
And I was willing to suffer to be the broadcaster. That I was willing to do it. And so if you're willing to, walk uphill,
It's like the passion of the Christ.
It's exactly what it is. The willingness to suffer for something, that tells you this is not a hobby level passion. This is purpose level passion. And so understanding that, and so beginning to see what moves that heart, what makes you feel alive. There's a great TED Talk on this. There's a guy by the name, I believe he's Hungarian. His name is Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. Yes, okay. You can't spell it, but I practiced that. I looked it up because it's a very popular TED Talk. You can look it up on flow, Flow. He's a psychologist, spent 30 years studying flow. And basically, it's what he's talking about is the sweet spot. But he talks about that when you use talent, so you use what you're good at to do something that engages you. So now he's talking passion. There is an absolute euphoric state. He calls it ecstasy. Now, we think of ecstasy many times has a sexual connotation to it. Ecstasy, the drug, right, that creates this out-of-body experience. So ecstasy kind of has this nasty connotation to it. But true ecstasy is not any one of those two things. It's not an altered state, and it's not sexual. It is I am feeling euphoria. My brain is so engaged because of the heart and the head together, and I love the work, and I'm good at it, and I enjoy the results. And so what happens in a state of flow is time seems to disappear. You think you've been working on it for 20 minutes and it's 2 hours, and you shook your head. We've all experienced that.
Yeah.
So that's how you begin to say, this is my passion. It's very discoverable. In fact, the answers are within.
Yeah.
You just got to look inward. What makes your heart come alive like a tuning fork? And when you find that, well, now we've got something.
So what about those of us who have multiple passions and sometimes have a hard time focusing on just one to pursue?
Well, I don't think that's a bad thing, because in that stage, usually you're trying to actually discover. And so I would tell people, hey, let's experiment. Let's, it's kind of like going to a nice restaurant and, kind of going, hey, let's order 7 or 8 dishes and let's taste them all. Let's pass them around the table. I think that's fine to do, certainly when you're younger. I think your 20s are a wonderful time for exploring those passions. But if it's a continual, habitual, I'm this, and then I'm here, and then I'm here, and there's no focus, well, it's a deeper dive. And you got to do that work of discovery. What I would tell you is there's clues. So people like that call me on the show all the time. So if I was talking to somebody, I'd say, all right, why do you love this? What most makes your heart skip a beat when you're doing this? And so I'm going to pay attention, write that down. And I'm going to say, okay, what about this? Okay, what about this? And there's always a thread. Always. They're never arbitrary. And I can tell you right now, it's going to come down to, certain, you'll see clues in each of those things. Well, I want to do this. I want to blog. But I love creative writing too. But I also love interior design. I've had a caller like that before. So then when I dig deep, what you find out is there's the creativity is the theme. So what do you most want to create? And when given that hard choice, and I'll put a caller on the spot. Okay, if I could give you, with a snap of my fingers, the money you need to make, all the stuff, all the fields, everything that you want, but you got to choose between A or B, which one you choose, go. And they always blurt it out.
And you're like, that's it.
Well, then I ask them a few more questions so that they hear themselves verify it. See, because again, I don't have the answers. You have the answers. And so that's how you look at that. So look at all the common themes and threads and clues within the things you're passionate about, and you're going to see some things stand out. And don't be so scared of putting a stake in the ground. It's okay to say, this is it. I think this is it. And I'm going to go for that. And I did that with politics. And my journey towards politics led me to broadcasting. Had I not put a stake in the ground and went that direction, I don't know that I end up where I am now. So it's about forward motion, always being aware, and listen to your heart.
Having a level of commitment with it.
Yes.
Whatever you decide, commit. It might not be right in the long run, but you have to commit to try it.
Well, you do. And I love how you said that, commit to try. It's part of the proximity principle. It doesn't mean that you have to do it. If you try it for 2 years and you don't do it, you haven't wasted anything in your life. It all kind of pans out. But here's what happens. When I get in proximity and I try something, like you said, then I'm going to get clarity and confirmation.
Yes.
Clarity of this is what it's going to take. This is what is involved in this kind of career. Okay. Does this confirm yes or does it confirm no? Yes, it is in fact what I want to do, or no, in fact, it isn't. And I think that that's what's huge. And that's where you get the courage. Clarity leads to confidence, and confidence leads to courage.
Right. And you throw out a statistic that I think it's actually kind of sad. You say that, is it 70% of people are unsatisfied with their current careers? Yeah,
and 80% internationally. We've seen new data that's 80% around the world. But 70%, according to a Gallup poll in America, are going to work on Monday morning completely disengaged. And there's a lot of factors to that. Could be, difficult people. Could be that they're bored, no challenge in the office. Could be that they're overwhelmed. But most of the time, it's that there's a disconnect with the work. You're good at it. You can do the job, or you wouldn't have got hired, and you wouldn't stay employed. But there's no connection. There's no passion. And I'm going to tell you something. When people go into work and there's no connection, no passion for what they're doing, they're dying slowly inside.
So what is it about... I guess, why is that the case? Let's say you have some people, they know what their sweet spot is, and they're a part of that 70% where they're unsatisfied with their job. What is holding them back from really going for it? I know you talk about some limiting beliefs that I love.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about those, because it's fear, doubt, and pride.
Yeah.
So those are the big enemies. Let's talk about how they rear their ugly heads. Fear of failure. I'm gonna, if I try this, I know what I want to do, but I got this degree, I got a good job. If I go after this and I don't succeed, am I going to put my family behind financially? So I think financial failure is huge. And then let's just say failure. Let's just say, what are my friends and family going to think of me? If I go out and I fail, will I be embarrassed? So there's a lot of that. Yeah. Then there's fear of peers, fear of what your peers are going to say. if you do this? Are they going to go, you're crazy. You've lost your mind. You got the safe job. You got the good job. You got the benefits. You got the country club membership. You got the 3-car garage. Why in the world would you do this? Fear of family. That throw them into the peers. And then let's talk about doubt. Well, one more fear that we need to talk about, because it's kind of a school age fear, but adults need to realize it never leaves the playground. It never leaves the hall of the school. And that's rejection. Just being told no along the way. That sucks. It doesn't feel good. I mean, I've had producers tell me, no, I don't think you got what it takes.
You know what I realized about all these fears you just said is that they all have a common thread of thinking about what other people think.
Yes.
And that's so interesting.
Oh, well, think about it. I mean, we're humans, and so we've got this human condition of what is everybody else going to think of me? So there's no question. There's fear. And then there's doubt. Now, doubt is the ugly cousin of fear. And, you know, like fear's on this shoulder and doubt's over here. Doubt is saying things like this. You don't have what it takes. You're not good enough.
I hate those days.
Oh, I'm so glad that you admit it, though, because we all face it.
Yeah.
Another doubt that it's too late. I get this one a lot on my show. 30s, 40s, 50s, these decades. People saying, is it too late? I went and got the safe degree that mom and dad told me to get. I went to the same school mom and dad told me to go to, and I've never been happy. But I'm 47. Ken, is it too late? That's doubt. And so we have to look at that. And then pride is just simply, you know what? I don't want any help. I don't want to ask for help. I'm not that guy. I'm not going to ask for help. You know, there's some sort of, that's a badge of honor. What's really going on is it's insecurity feeding the pride. So pride's fake. So insecurity feeds this macho, I'm not going to ask for any help. And I'm going to tell you right now, no successful man or woman in the course of history could ever say, honestly, that they did it on their own. There's just no way. So, you know, we're all standing on somebody's shoulders. So those are the 3 limiting beliefs. And that's why people won't make the change. Fear, doubt, and pride. So you got to ask yourself, what do I most fear? What's my biggest doubt? Where do I need to swallow my pride? Many times on my show, I'll have someone name it, say it out loud, because I want them to say it. And then when we say it, I make fun of the fear. Not them. Never make fun of them.
Yeah.
I never do. But let's call it what it is. It's silly. It's as silly, and I'm a dad, so I got 3 kids. And every parent listening or watching this has had some situation like this where your kids will call you up at night, hey, I think there's something in the closet. There's nothing in the closet. Go to bed. Dad, please. And you open up the closet, you turn the light on. Look, there's nothing in the closet. And so that's what we have to do for ourselves, or even better yet, and I play this friend on the radio, but get somebody like me who does this for people on the radio, but get somebody in your life who'll go, hey, this is crazy silly. This is goofy. You don't need to be afraid of this. It's not real. I think when we can do that, that helps us get that extra courage.
So do you think that there are any fears or even just situations where you think it might actually be a legitimate reason to not go after your dream career right away? So like I mentioned, we had Chris Hogan on, and I know he's a big advocate for taking care of any debt you might have before making any big life decisions. Anything like that you think, you know, actually maybe take care of this first before
I because I hate fear. So I'm going to say it's not fear, it's caution. Now, caution's great. So fear is a liar. Caution is our friend. And the best way I could illustrate this is, you know, if my kids are around a bonfire, we love bonfires. I'm constantly watching my littlest one. Hey, Josie, careful, careful, careful. That's caution. We want to be careful. So I think being careful is really, really smart. Using caution about the things that can destroy us. So I love that you asked this question. I tell callers all the time, because they'll say, hey, Ken, when do I make the leap? And I say, don't leap. No leaping. We don't jump off of cliffs. That's a really cool extreme sport. Love to watch it on TV. But we're not going to do that in life, because if we leap, that's when we can really get hurt. There's a certain amount of risk involved with the leap. We don't need to leap when it comes to career or getting out of debt or things like that. So when it comes to the career, should I do this too soon? Should I do this now? Well, let's look at this. Let's be cautious. Okay, what would cause me to fail financially? Well, if I went and racked up credit cards and tried to fund my dream on credit cards, you know, or if I rack up student loans for a degree at a school that I'm not even sure I want to use.
Oh, Chris and I talked about that.
Of course you did. So yeah, I like caution. Let's look into what we need to look into. You know, it's kind of smart not to get near a burn. The other night we were at a great steakhouse. Okay. In Phoenix, Arizona, a guy brings a plate, tells us all, these plates are 500 degrees. Be careful. I got cautious. Okay. Whoa. I'm going to back off of that. I can literally feel the heat coming. If I touch that with my skin, I'm going to get a burn. So we want to be cautious, but fear, no. Caution's great.
Yeah, when you were using the example of your daughter around the bonfire, I was thinking, yeah, of course you would watch a child and be like, careful, 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 but you wouldn't say we're not ever going to a bonfire.
We're not going to do a bonfire.
Yeah.
My wife comes out and says, hey, babe, the kids want s'mores. No.
Yeah.
Why not? Because they could
afraid.
get burned. They could get burned. Well, that's crazy fear. That's illogical. But caution. We get to enjoy the fire. We get to have s'mores and nobody gets burned. So I like caution. Know the difference between caution and fear.
Yeah. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching the episode. If you're interested in contributing to the conversation and supporting the show, there's 2 easy things you can do. 1, click subscribe, and 2, visit our Patreon page where you get exclusive access to the Exploring Minds community.